Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is so great to be here with you today. We have a special Women Grow segment for you. Today, I am joined by my very good friend, and quite honestly, one of the incredible women in this industry that I highly respect. It was actually her conference that was my confirmation that heading into the cannabis industry was the right move back in 2015. And this incredible woman was one of the founding members of Women Grow way back when. And it was because of her relationship with Women Grow, women like myself received scholarships to her conference. And so myself, Tanya, and many other women were able to attend CWCBE Expo in its 8th year, which I cannot believe. If you times that times 7, that's like 50 something years this has been going on. And it feels like that because we have learned so much since then. But when I tell you to have been in New York in 2015, to have seen billboards of this cannabis conference coming to the Jacob Javits Center in New York was a huge deal. I actually left another conference to attend this conference. And they said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to a cannabis conference." They're like, "Where?" "Jacob Javits Center." And I knew once I was coming down those stairs and I saw a full floor of exhibitors, and then I saw the breakout sessions, and I said, wow, this industry is real. But it's really because of the work that this incredible Cannabis has been doing since the inception of bringing this education, these business opportunities, and awareness to the cannabis industry and to women like myself and many others. And I am so honored to bring to you the managing director and partner. That's right, she's a partner. She is a boss, Miss Christine Ianuzzi. Come on in, Christine. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, Gia. I'm melting with all those kind words. I don't know what to do.
Are you kidding me?
I'm like canna butter. I'm canna butter right now.
You canna butter. I love that. Listen, I meant every one of those words. It was your conference that solidified that I was doing the right thing. I had already been attending Women Grow events. I'd already met a few people, but I had not attended a show like yours. I had gone to small conferences that were being held at hotels by JFK or at the Pennsylvania Hotel. And I thought, oh, this still feels a little sketchy. But it was your show that showed me and really opened my eyes to where we were going. I mean, not everyone throws a show at the Javits Center, by the way. Okay. And not everyone gets the turnout that you're getting and that you were getting then, that I was like, oh my goodness, this is 2015. How come the entire world doesn't know about it? But what I did know when I was coming down those escalator stairs and we saw all of those exhibitors, we said, oh, this isn't going anywhere. This is real. So firstly, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you've done over these 8 years. Thank you for everything that you have made available to women like myself. Like I said, Tanya and I both received scholarships to attend your conference.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, that's very endearing to hear. Your testimonial, like I said, I'm canna butter right now. I have to kind of compose myself. I appreciate the kind words. We had the very good fortune of being the very first cannabis show at the Javits. You brought up Javits several times, that it was the first cannabis show that you went to, by scholarship by us. I in turn learned a ton from Women Grow. When we had our first show in New York at the Javits in 2015, I had been attending many meetings, and many of them were Women Grow meetups. They were really a meetup. And I learned so much. And these meetings were not heavily publicized because many of those years, as we had said earlier, and many times when we see each other, we always kind of hug each other and say, look at where we're at today. And we would meet in maybe the basement of a store, of a mainstream business store, someone's apartment, some event space. And
A loft that was way back in there.
exactly, somebody lost, and there would be a Christmas party in someone's private home, and so forth. It was just amazing. And I would, and what Women Grow did at the time was really extremely educational. They would bring in what was at the time the pioneers, people who were working at the Marijuana Policy Project, people who were working at the with all these burgeoning organizations for investment and finding out about what is THC, what is a strain, and how many strains, where can I get some good stuff, and all that. It wasn't even about the pot. It was about learning the business. And and the brand itself was so fantastic, and it attracted me, made me want to be a better business owner and someone that actually our business, our mission for our trade show, which is really a legacy of over 70 years in the family of many different industries. We happen to be in cannabis right now, among other things. This has been something where it made me a better person and a better business owner to build the marketplace, to build the industry for cannabis and for hemp. And at the time, hemp was not even a word. It was, it was marijuana was the thing. And then cannabis became it. And then the hemp, now everybody started learning about that. And I can remember 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the buzz was, well, if they legalized hemp, everything would just be done. Well, it's not really the case. We've all learned a lot, and there's a lot more when you peel the onion, there's a lot more to deal with. So all of these things, I feel like we grew up together with Women Grow, and we grew up with all of the exhibitors that we helped build the marketplace for. Women Grow was with us from the beginning. Yes, they were exhibiting.
We were.
Yes, they were exhibiting from the beginning, and we actually did a couple of things together. We were a founding member. I still have the paperwork and the little proclamation.
Yes, right.
And so we have a very nice history together. And for us this year, coming off these last 2 years plus, it's been very, very difficult for every business.
I can imagine. I want to stop you there before you go into that.
We talked about the pandemic, I'm sure, but
yeah, no, we haven't. But I do think that that's important, especially for an events producer like yourself, because that had to be a serious impact. But for those who are just learning about CWCBExpo, can we actually go back to the beginning? Because I don't think people realize when you started, why you started. I know you said that you learned a lot from Women Grow and but I mean, honestly, you were one of those leading shows in the industry. So what made you start this?
So we have been a trade show family for many, many decades. And both of my brothers, who are my business partners, were business partners together. And my sister, they were in the trade show business for a long time. And one of the things about a trade show organizer of many decades and many years, you have to kind of look at what's new and what industries need help in development and in being built, so that you build the marketplace. And how we do that as trade show organizers is create trade shows, create an environment where there's a comfort level, there's education, there's enough facts around that exhibitors will learn from each other, you network. So my brothers saw this as something that was quite visionary at the time. And it was a very nascent topic. Cannabis was in the closet. It went very much the same as as the LGBTQ community. That homosexuality was something that was always in the closet. And cannabis, in many ways, was kind of buried, and it was stigmatized. So we did a lot of research. My brothers did a lot of research. I was brought in on the heels of me leaving Blue Chip America. I had just turned 50 years old. I was I had worked over 25 years in Blue Chip America in the media business in several different companies, big blue chip companies. I was in television and radio. I'm a disciplined engineer 3 times, and it's not my field. I had to learn this from the beginning, from the ground up. And in many ways, when you give someone that kind of arena, you have to kind of build your own marketplace, and you kind of have to feel your way around. And I'm guessing that the makeup of me, being so disciplined as an engineer, I was always described as, oh, you're like a little pit bull. You're a pit bull. You're a velvet hammer pit bull, and it's going to get done. And I'll never forget that. And the person who taught me that, it was in the media company that I worked at, ABC Television. He really was a great mentor to me, and he really was fabulous. So I'll never forget that. And there is a way to be a pit bull, learning and getting into this. Whoever thought I would want to be in the trade show business or cannabis business? No, it's kind of like your story too. When you realize, you know what, this trade show made me feel comfortable. And that's the testimony that we hear a lot for our trade show. Our brand makes people feel comfortable, whether it's their first show or they've returned for all of our shows. And it's the same thing over and over. I felt comfortable. I got into the business. I walked out with the toolkit to know how to get into the business. And I walked out with more tools to expand my business. And that's what's good about our brand. And that's what you want to do as a trade show owner, to continue giving people more. You want them to walk out wanting more, but you want them to walk out taking more. And that's what this was all about. So those are the things that I learned from being around my brothers, from being around other trade show organizers. I did almost every job alongside those. We built this cannabis trade show with people as well who were not really part of trade shows or sales or anything. So we were all kind of feeling our way around. And here we are, still on our feet after a couple of difficult years. We're still looking to build the industry even bigger. And we still hear the same testimony, Gia. I can't wait to come back. You were my first trade show, my only trade show, and I have a business now. And some of them are exhibitors in our show who came and walked the floor.
That is so. It's such a great story. 1, learning that it's a family business. 2, that because it's a family business doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn from the ground up, learning every aspect of it. And that while this wasn't your background, whatever you were doing before this, which again, to me, aligns perfectly, that you're doing now, right? And I don't see you as a bulldog, but I definitely see you as a woman who gets stuff done. And you are very determined, and you are very focused, and you are still very much involved with every aspect of this show. Not only do I know that it's your baby, but you care. You care so much about the exhibitors and about the panelists and about the education and the experience that attendees get. And so, I love hearing the story from you. But I have to imagine that, you go through several successful years and then a pandemic hits. How do you pivot? How do you transition and adjust during that time?
So as many live events were shuttered, the venues were closed, cities, restaurants, hotels, arenas where we would have shows, sporting events, everything was closed. I don't have to go into that. We all experienced the closure and the shutdown. For conferences, exhibits, trade shows, people pivoted to virtual, and we did a virtual event. We called it the CWCBExpo Insider. I think you were one of our CEOs that we actually interviewed, Gia. You were great. We had a series of CEO panels, and you were great. We had several, and I tell you, a lot of people actually signed up and came. They loved it, and we did a trade show virtually online too, in a virtual way. It's very different than a live event. We all know that. The best way to get business done and to build your business and your brand is to be in touch, is to network, is to continue the business deals and the business closings at a networking event, at a party. You can't do those when you're in virtual, but we did it, and we're glad that we went back to live events. We were thrilled to go back in November of 2021 in New York. Javits was ready to reopen. It was a fabulous show. We had wonderful attendance. We had a great main stage conference where we kind of changed the paradigm of how we did things. And we're doing that again now. So if you want to talk about that, I can actually talk about that, because
I want to know, so there's a lot of excitement and I'm seeing the post, we're posting. Who's coming this year? What can people expect in terms of exhibitors as well as speakers?
Sure. So the exhibitors are coming from, believe it or not, internationally as well. We have Chinese companies, we have American companies, obviously from the national companies. We're having a very large floor. We have a lot of extraction companies. We have first-time exhibitors. We have, I can name some of these companies. You might know them, you might not. We have accounting companies. We have legal companies. We have dispensary owners that are coming. They'll be either exhibiting or walking the floor. E-Teen is coming. We have Colonville. We have Pure Genesis. We have Women Grow and the Women Grow Pavilion. We have.
We're definitely going to talk more about that.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the pavilion, because that, again, you're always so supportive of Women Grow and women in the industry. But I want to talk about some of the other companies before we get to the pavilion.
Okay. And we also have colleges that are coming. We have a college pavilion where we're featuring colleges that actually have cannabis curriculums, and they get to talk about that with the attendees and show off that they are progressive and that they are trying to further polish this stigma off of cannabis, the taboo of it, which I find is lessening every day. And I think the whole education aspect, we've been trying to say this for years in all our conferences and in any interviews. The biggest thing is education. And we really need to educate our youth in this country at the college level, high school level. We need to talk about these things so that they can make informed decisions, that they can work within an economic layer that perhaps is good for them and that they will do well in. And they want to do farming, great. Maybe you want to do hemp farming, or you want to be a marijuana farmer or cultivating, and you'll need a license. You need education for these things. But why not talk about these things? Not talking about them really hides an economic opportunity, perhaps, for the youth in this country. It's not that they're going to be horrified or hurt because of the drugs. They have to make good decisions. And you can't look at marijuana as a drug. You have to look at it as an herb, as the plant that it is. It's the plant that needs to be managed. It's a plant that needs to grow, and we need to really kind of make it work for everyone.
Absolutely. And I commend you for having a college pavilion, because, oftentimes people are surprised by those who have degrees in this industry. We've met, as you know, and you've had many of these speakers, some of the best and the brightest scientists, right? And medical doctors and CEOs. But I think it also helps, when you told me you were going to have that, I thought about the number of parents that are walking the floors, right? Who are now changing their perspective about this industry, which also helps to remove the stigma. And if they're understanding what these higher institutions are teaching, they may turn around and go home and say, hey, have you considered the cannabis industry as a major? Go to this school. This is what they're offering. And I think it further enhances the education that you all provide in your show, because now this is about experienced hires, but we always have to think about that next generation to really help continue to build up this industry. So having a college pavilion, to me, is not necessarily about undergrad itself, those 18 to 21-year-olds, but just anyone who's even thinking about going back to school and seeing it as perhaps, getting a degree or some sort of certificate. So I commend you for creating this pavilion space where people can visit these schools to learn more. And so can you name any of the colleges that will be a part of the pavilion?
Oh, sure. We're very happy to talk about them. Cornell University is going to be there. They have a program that they're going to show off. Stockton University in New Jersey. We have Farmingdale State University, University of Rhode Island, and Medgar Evers College actually returned their confirmation today. So this is really, and we have more out there. We're looking at several local New York colleges as well. So we're very happy. We're very pleased. And we want it to grow and grow. I think, with every show that goes by, every show that we put on, this is going to be a very large footprint going forward.
That is so good, Christine. And so I now have to shine and just like put a shining light on you yet again for partnering and agreeing to extend a space to Women Grow, because last year we did something creative. We'd never done this before. And I remember having the conversation with Tanya saying, well, what are we going to do at our booth? Let's do something different. And we'd spent 2 years during the pandemic. I mean, live events, we've always had our panel discussions and our keynote speakers. And we realized during the pandemic, it gave us an opportunity to really spotlight many of the women-owned businesses in a very different way. We're challenged in terms of not being able to market and advertise the way we could on mainstream. And we use our platform and continue to give those moments to these business owners to say, talk about your business 3 to 4 minutes before we bring this panel discussion together. And so we took that concept and brought it to our booth last year. And over the 3 days, I believe we had about 20 women. I feel like, Tanya, about more than that, probably more. But I mean, each day we cycled about 4 to 5 different businesses who displayed at our booth. These women, oftentimes, while they're startup businesses or small operators, said, we oftentimes cannot afford these booth spaces, but, we are an operating business. And how can we, Women Grow, support them, so that they are amplifying their brands? And so we, you were gracious enough to support us in extending our booth space to allow more room for more exhibitors within our space. And we were kind of calling that co-op space, that community that we, continue to foster. And then you came back and said, I liked what you did. I loved it. And this is great. This is great. We had a selfie station, right? Which was like a big hit for everyone. But this year you said, I want to do something different. Why don't we get together and why don't we create, I want a pavilion, Gia. How can you get more women? And I'm like, Christine, word. Of course we can get more women. And we're so grateful for that, because you have to understand, and anyone that's tuning in, at the Women Grow Pavilion, we're honored. We're going to have 30 women displaying over 3 days. 3 days of women-owned businesses at the pavilion. And I'll call out some names. If I don't call out everyone, do not be upset. But you're going to be at CWCBExpo. And if you're not, you need to get your tickets, and we're going to tell you how to get that. But I mean, we have the types of companies. We have a beverage company. We have a law firm. Many of what you said already, Christine, but these are women-owned businesses. And you know how we get down for our women in the industry. We have a jewelry company. We've got products, right? We've got a number.
I think you have a pet. I think you have a pet brand too.
Yes, we have a pet company coming.
Mm-hmm. And you have a chef. You at least have one chef.
Yeah. We have someone that focuses on home grow kits. I mean, apparel, you name it. Like,
Mhm.
many of these companies, for those of you who are tuning in, many of them are ancillary businesses. But please know that, and we're so grateful to all of the women who were selected for these conditional cultivation licenses. And we know many of them. And matter of fact, Sarah Stenoff, I'm going to tell you how things come full circle. We invited Sarah last year to display at our booth, and she was grateful. If any of you know Sarah Senoff, she is a woman veteran in the industry. She's been around for a while, and she's been building her business. And she displayed at our booth last year, and she was so excited and did amazing. And then she went ahead and applied for these conditional hemp license cultivators that will be growing cannabis, and she received a license. And you think about how where someone started and where they're going. This opportunity for these 30 women, who knows where they will be this time next year. And it's exciting that we're able to bring 30 women together for 3 days in the Women Grow Pavilion, thanks to you and your leadership and your support of women-owned businesses.
All right. Well, now I'm really melting. So let me just tell you, I want to thank
Start
you.
calling you butter.
I'm done. I want to thank you and Tanya for selecting the women and going. That's a big process. That's a lot of time and effort, and it's a process. And I look at this, and we had an interview I think right before. I think we had it for 2019, heading into that an Instagram interview, and we both understood this concept of pay forward, and we want to help people to fish. We want to teach them to fish. They'll come back, and they're going to be the exhibitors in the show that want to buy a big booth, that they want to be the big sponsor, and that's what we want. I don't necessarily want them money. I do want paying exhibitors and all that. We want that, but they're coming back, and there are several in my show, in our show now, that are thriving individuals, thriving businesses that actually went to a Women Grow meeting. I met one there. Canna Content is a perfect example.
Yes.
She's been in all our shows, I think, for the last many years. She's a service provider to us, and she's a service provider to many. And her name, am I allowed to give her name? Am I allowed to give? I gave the name of the company.
Come on,
Stella.
Stella.
Well, she's wonderful, and I met her at a Women Grow meeting, and it was at the Canal Street. There was a location there. It was like a big place, but she's is another example of Women Grow bringing people together, just like our shows do. We want to be inclusionary. We want to bring the industry together and make it grow, and that's what we want to do. So I thank you for helping doing that and doing what you do and spending the time to make this pavilion happen. And next year, we want all these women years forward to build their business and to really look back and say, I came to your place and this is where I'm at today.
And you know what? None of this could happen without partnerships and support like yours. And that's exactly why we do it, right? We want to be able to. I've often said that Women Grow has been my gateway into the cannabis industry. It's helped me to connect with incredible, resources and leads, right? And just being able to see people grow within this industry. And so we couldn't do this without you. You have to know that. Like seriously, I'm getting emotional because Sarah's a great example of that. Like seeing that she's got a license, right? Seeing Stella, and we love Stella. And I see Stella in the comments, girl. We love you, girl.
Is she butter too? Is she melting also?
and Tanya, like I said, Tanya and I started as scholarship recipients to your show, and then look at what we're doing. So we know that it's possible. But before we wrap, we have to talk about a few things. One, what can people expect in terms of topics? Because I know I learned just an incredible amount of information, but what are the topics they can expect?
So every day we have a theme, Gia. The first day is focused on investment, and we have Weed Maps is going to be speaking to Mona Zhang from Politico. Chris Beals, the CEO of Weed Maps. everyone knows Weed Maps. You've interviewed them.
We have a partnership with Weed Maps.
Yeah.
We love that.
So Mona Jean will be the moderator of that. So that's a big Thursday thing. We also have Amanda Ryman doing the industry update from New Frontier, and Amanda has been around for a long time in the industry. She's one of the first, one of the pioneers. She's got all kinds of history. She's also a research data analyst for New Frontier Data now. So she's going to be doing the industry update. So I'm excited about that. What that is, trends and opportunities in marijuana and hemp, and that's very important. It's a good kickoff to everything else that day. So awesome. So that's very good. And then we have Weed Meets Wall Street on Thursday, which we have Steve Jelsey from Market Watch is going to be moderating that. And we have.
Can I tell you what's so funny about that? So you know that I worked in financial services before.
Goldman Sachs, right?
Yes.
Did I give you away?
Relations, but Steve was one of the reporters that I used to talk to when I was at Goldman. And so when he was writing a story about cannabis, and I'm like, Steve Jelsey? He's like, yeah. I'm like, this is GM Marone. He's like, I know your name. And when I told him, he was like, no way, you're in cannabis. I'm like, yeah. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of people who have transitioned into this industry from, financial services and many other mainstream industries. So it was so cool to see that he was covering the cannabis industry.
That's great. And we have Tracy Mason from House of Saka. She's the founder. She's going to be speaking on a beverage panel and talking about, and I love this, where is the greenest grass growing and flowing? And so she's one of the panelists on that. You'll notice there's a good female theme in every day, and it's great because
women supporting women.
Yes, but what I like is that I see a lot of the playing field is becoming even with the amount of business owners that are female and male. And we need to do a lot more work in many areas, the industry, but it's progress.
But we're also not calling them women's panels, right? Like we should be a part of all conversations. We shouldn't have to just set it aside and just call it a women's talk. Because again, we're leading whole businesses. Why do we have to have a separate conversation?
Yeah, that's right. So then on Friday, we have the policy and legalization. Nice. And one of my favorite things that's going to happen is you're going to be interviewing Tremaine Wright. You're going to be moderating a question and answer period with the chair of the Cannabis Control Board. So Cannabis Control Board. Cannabis Control. And she's we were her first keynote last year. So you're going to have a nice, intimate conversation with her. I'm looking forward to that. And I think she's going to have a packed room. The audience loves to hear the latest on this new economic layer that's happening in New York State. And she's a perfect person to do that. And you're the perfect person to moderate that. So I'm excited. To that. And we also have Nick Kovacevic that day being interviewed by Tim Seymour. And Tim was Kushco Holdings, as you remember. Now he's with Green Lane Holdings. And then there's another panel that we talk about the necessities. What's happening on the social equity front? What is happening? What are the ESG considerations that need to be done and need to be looked at? So then again, some of this is still evolving as far as there's so many great expertise out there to talk on these things, and people that have worked on legislation, have worked on policy, such as yourself. I believe you're moderating that one as well. So we're in good hands on that, in every way, shape, and form. So everything still needs to be discussed in as far as everything is an open platform, and we're going to have to really bring out all of these issues, and I'm happy to do it. I'm glad you're with me on it. I'm glad that we have, expert people coming and joining us. On Saturday, it's more of a lifestyle and cannabis theme. And we have a health and wellness panel that we're working on. In fact, one of the provisional licensees is actually going to be speaking. You might know her, Jenny's Home Baked Goods. Do you know Jenny Ianuzzi? Yes. Oh, you do? Okay. She's going to be joining. Christina G. Giovanna from Emerald Magazine is going to be moderating that. Awesome. We have Faye Coleman is going to be on that panel from Pure Genesis. She's the CEO. Again, we're going to be talking about things that affect your lifestyle as with cannabis and consumption. How does it affect you in the day? Your edibles, how you cook, what creams do you use? What is your infused drinks that you make? Juicing, dosing, all of these things are very important. And we're having vaping as well as part of this discussion, because a lot of people vape, and that's part of their cannabis lifestyle every day. And how do you do that safely? What is on that? Arno from Blink is going to be talking on that.
Wow.
So we're looking forward to that. And then we also have a cultivation panel that day. We also have an eco cannabis panel that day. Making sure that we do things, create our cannabis, consume our cannabis. Let's be cognizant of the sustainability issues. How is that cannabis made? What was the supply chain aspects? You're ruining the atmosphere when you're making that, or do you care when you buy it? Do you care how you get it and who made it? All these things are very important, and we save those for Saturday.
So important. So that's 3 days.
Yes.
3 days of full content and education, which is incredible. For those of you who are tuning in, if you haven't seen it yet, and for the team behind the scenes, if you don't mind, if you can just drop the code in the comments. But if you use the code WG22, where was it? It was there.
It was there. It's coming across.
There it goes. WG22 for free expo floor passes and 20% off for the seminar sessions, right? So there's a difference. If you are just looking to visit the show, to the exhibit floor, the pass is free. But if you're looking to join in and listen into those conversations, I highly recommend that you take advantage of that 20% seminar. And then also, Christine was gracious enough to pay it forward yet again to Women Grow. And we will be giving 5 scholarships, full scholarships away to CWCBE. And we're so grateful yet again, because just like one of you out there, you could be like Tanya and we started out going to our first CWCBE Expo and realizing this was home, right? This is where we wanted to be. And so we're grateful. And then last question, there's Cannabis Week. I mean, as if that isn't enough, you have a boat ride. We
have special events. Yes, we have wonderful networking events. We have on Thursdays the networking mixer on the show floor, right behind the exhibit. So 5 o'clock comes, go and enjoy 2 hours of fun. Then there's an after party over at the hotel at the Green Fig Room. It's called the Green Room, I think. But it's outside space, nice and airy, and it's co-sponsored by Spleef. It's a nice party. And then we have on Friday night a yacht party. It's back, and we're all looking forward to that. And that's that boarding begins at 6 and leaves at 6:30, I believe. So get there early. You don't want to miss the boat. And that's our networking events. And I can tell you that some of the biggest deals got done at our show. And we've talked about this a little bit. Many of them, Acreage Holdings, Constellation Brands buying, Canopy, all that, all that is our shows brought all those entities together over the years. And then there were others. There's too many to go through. But the yacht party, the networking mixer, these events make the business deals continue. And a lot of work gets done at these fun networking events when they may be a party, but business is getting done and people are learning about what each other does and learning about how they can do better with each other.
So, Christine, how do people follow you at your show? Meaning, where do they find you on social media?
Oh, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook. And we're at cannabismeansbusiness.com. You can go to our website. That's an easy way to remember it, or CWCBExpo.com. And you can go buy your tickets and see who's speaking. And again, some of the conference program, there may be changes as we head into next week. but not many. We're just changing it for the better and adding more speakers. You know, it's amazing, Gia, when people get a chance to speak at our show, you know, they're like, yeah, you know, it's that kind of a reaction. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh no, because it means something.
It's New York City. It's the Javits. It's a beautiful main stage. And there's a big crowd, you know?
And why did you pick New York? Because you could have picked any other state, but you picked New York. You've been consistent to New York, and you think about it from the time that you started to where we are today, which we are now fully legal, right? With adult use coming soon. But New York, I mean, it's like that pinnacle, right? Like
Well, there's a question. There's an answer to that question. You know, in the trade show business, you like to plant a flag, you know, and we planted the flag. We were the first trade show on the East Coast in the Javits. We planted that flag, and that's important. The East Coast, I guess my brothers, their research saw that there was an opportunity here for the growth. And lo and behold, at the time, there really was. There was a lot of mainstream business investors that were looking at cannabis way back when I came into 2014, 2015. You'd be surprised. And again, under the radar, and now they're out and about, this fund, that fund. You know, we have a fund manager coming in and speaking on when weed meets Wall Street. So from Navy Capital, John Caden. So this is all, you know, this was a inevitable. New York State,
I love it,
is inevitable. The East Coast is inevitable to always be the pocket of change, pocket of progress, and building new economic opportunities. And we're business capital. We're one of the financial greats of the world. We're the media capital of the world. And this kind of business, this opportunity was really kind of poking out, you know, and that's why we're here.
Well, thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you so much for your time today. Anyone that's tuning in, go to cannabismeansbusiness.com. Be sure to use the code WG22 for your free expo pass. But I highly encourage you to use that 20% discount for the seminar sessions. You don't want to miss that. And then, of course, you got to stop by all the pavilions. But I'm biased. I want you to stop by our Women Grow Pavilion and
I'll be there.
all the incredible women that will be displaying for 3 days. And Christine, thank you so much for always being just the greatest example of being a canna boss and a woman leader in our industry. And we greatly appreciate you. And we'll see you next week.
Will do. All right, and have a great rest of the week. And you know, did you wake up wondering what day of the week it was? Because I did.
Always, every day.
Is it today?
And I know that you've been working nonstop, but we can't wait to see the show.
I can't wait to see you either. And a good trade show organizer carries a Hallmark calendar.
Thank you so much, Christine, and we'll see you next week. Appreciate you.
Bye. Thank you so much, Gia. See you next week.
Take care.